Hey loves, thanks for stopping by my channel again. And if this is your first time coming by, thank you so much for checking out my channel. I hope that you like what you see and you hear and that you'll continue to come back for more. I typically post a new video every Thursday and Sunday, give or take a few days. And I post about all kinds of life stuff, life topics, my own experiences and opinions around those, and tips around how to stay positive, be of inspiration, lead your life from a place of love and kindness. So all kinds of good, juicy juju going on this channel. And I hope that you will stick around, check it out, share it with people that you think would benefit from my content, and support your girl. So if you like a video, thumbs up. And more importantly, if you enjoy what you see and want to help me grow, I hope that you will subscribe to my channel. Real quick, I just recently learned yesterday that if you make comments on a video and you do not have your own YouTube channel, even if you have a Google account so that you can subscribe, because you do need a Google account in order to subscribe to someone's channel, you can make comments, but I will not see them unless you have your own YouTube account. Now, with that said, you don't have to use your YouTube account. You don't have to post your own videos and create a whole channel. Well, you do have to create a channel, but you don't have to go on there and post videos. You can just create the channel and just leave it empty. But as long as you have a YouTube channel, then whenever you make comments on someone's video that you watch, that person whose channel that is will be able to see your comments and can engage and respond. I say this because I discovered yesterday that a friend of mine's been commenting on my videos, as have other people, and I can't see those comments. So it tells me when I click on my video in my video analytics, it tells me, 8 comments, and I don't see any. Or the only comments that I see are the comments from people who actually have their own YouTube channel. So I don't know why YouTube does that. It's very janky, wanky, whatever, but they do. And so I don't want any of you to feel like, wow, I made a comment and she didn't respond and she's not engaging with her viewers. I am all about connections and engaging with my viewers, and I fully appreciate any constructive criticism, feedback, love, support, questions, whatever you have that you want to share. Unfortunately, though, if you don't have your own YouTube channel, I will not see the comment and therefore I can't respond. So any of you who have watched videos and made comments, because I now know that I have several comments on many of my videos and I can't see them, just know that I can't see them if you don't have a YouTube channel. Once you create your own YouTube channel and then log off and log back on, I will be able to see all your comments and then I can engage and respond. So just please know that and understand that I want to engage. So if you don't feel like making your own YouTube channel, I completely understand. And in that case, you can email me. My email address is shared in my About section on my channel. And or you can click in the top right box on my channel, I have my links to Instagram and my Facebook, and you can DM me there, either of those places, and I'm happy to engage with you there. So on that note, let's get this party started. Today, I am talking about trauma, childhood trauma, and the healing process. And I want to start by saying that you do not and should not be need to be or be held hostage in your childhood trauma. You should not be held hostage, and you do not need to be held hostage in childhood trauma. And what's so interesting in just talking to people about trauma and healing is that I've discovered that many people do not actually believe, think, or feel that they have any trauma in their life. And the fact is, we all do. And let me explain that. People think of trauma as things like post-traumatic stress, sexual or physical abuse, emotional abuse, dealing with addictions, overcoming like accidents or surgeries or big major surgeries or things like that. People think of those things as trauma. But the reality is, the word that I use for the trauma that I believe everyone has is our programming, our life programming. We all are being programmed from our environment and the people, places, and things in the environment from the absolute moment that we are born into this world, we leave the womb and come out into the universe, and life begins. And although many of us grew up in happy homes, just like I did, and have good connections with their family and supportive friends and great jobs and wonderful, wonderful lives. I put wonderful in quotes because a lot of us think that everything is just a-okay and hunky-dory. But the truth is that the programming that we receive from the moment we're born completely affects how we show up as we age and become adults. It affects our thoughts, it affects our actions, it affects how we show up, how we treat others, and all of that is called trauma. It's basically childhood trauma, or like I want to call it, like I refer to it as programming. And I want to talk about this because we are in a time and space right now where two huge shifts are taking place. One of the huge things, shifts, whatever that's taking place is the hatred and the violence that's going on in our world, the divide of people, the hatred and discrimination and prejudice that has gone nowhere, and in my opinion has probably gotten worse. The violence, the shootings, the mass shootings, the drug overdoses. There's so much conflict in people and between people. And that's traumatic and that's huge. But on the other hand, the other huge shift that's happening that I believe has been in preparation and has been slowly dripping and growing and evolving is the awakening. When I say the awakening, I'm referring to spirituality in people. The human race is becoming more attuned, more awakened, and more spiritually invested and grounded. I feel extreme gratitude. And I mean, when I say extreme gratitude, because you always hear me talking about how grateful I am for every little thing and every big thing and everything in between. And I am. I express gratitude every day for everything. But when I say that I feel extreme gratitude, that I happen to be a person who in the last 3 years has become totally spiritually awakened and transformed, that level of gratitude that I'm expressing and that I feel is an understatement. And I've always known what my soul carries. I've always known the feelings that I've had. I haven't really understood always how to define them, but the spirituality that is me is something that I'm now working every day, effortlessly, passionately, and proudly to share with all of you. And whether or not you believe in spirituality or you think that's a bunch of witchery, because some people do, or, oh my gosh, give me a break, the universe isn't doing this, and there is no law of attraction, and The Secret is a bunch of shit. Whatever your beliefs are, that's okay. I am not here to fix you or change you or force beliefs onto you, but I'm here to enlighten you, educate you, inform you, and just kind of plant the seed. And what you do with that seed is totally up to you. But the fact remains, we all have trauma in our lives. And I like to use myself and my stories as examples because what I have and what I've been through in my journey of healing is something that I now openly and proudly share with people because it's healing. Talking with others, having your voice, sharing your firsthand experiences that you have come through and out of and move forward from are things that other people need to know and hear. Because as like the old saying goes, misery loves company, but also healing comes through sharing. Sharing is caring, and caring is healing. And as you grow, as you personally grow and you experience personal growth, you go. I always say grow as you will go as you grow. What I mean by that is the word go means go, move forward. We all want to go. We don't want to be stuck in our past. But so many of us are unconsciously stuck in childhood trauma. And I'm here to tell you that actually some of that trauma starts in the womb. So I'm going to give you an example of my own. A mother who is in duress or stress while pregnant, she is putting that programming onto her unborn child while the child's in her womb. And that's a really powerful and frightening and, I guess you could say, sad reality, but it is real. And from my own experience, I don't know that I don't think my mom was under duress, but me as a pregnant mom to my firstborn son, who is now a grown young man, I was under extreme stress during most of my pregnancy with him. He was not born premature. He was actually born on his due date, and was an extremely happy child and very loving. And we just had such a great relationship. But he has had his share of trauma and experience. Not only was my pregnancy stressful, but my son's dad, who he was very close to, died tragically when my son was 6.5. So my son has spent the past 20 something years without a dad, and with holding on to those feelings and emotions. And that is trauma. Even if he didn't lose his dad, he still has instant trauma, unfortunately, that I passed on to him in utero, wrong word, in utero, when I was pregnant with him. So it doesn't always start from the moment you're birthed into the universe. Sometimes it starts in utero from your mother. And then that was the case with my son. And the cool thing about all this, because there is a cool thing, you know me, I'm the glass half full, not half empty. So there's always the positive side. The positive is when it comes to trauma, it can be healed. You can reprogram your mind, body, and spirit, and you can heal through the trauma and move forward and go. Okay, and that's what this video is about. And I just want to share with you that the first step in understanding your trauma is digging back into your childhood, thinking about the things like the environment you were raised in. Were you raised by two loving parents? Or was it a volatile home situation? Was it a broken home? Were there addictions in the home? Was there divide in the home? How did your parents look at things like money and eating habits and just day-to-day routines? What were their actions? How did they relate to each other? How was the family and the siblings? How were you all connected? All of those things, when you think back to your childhood, are integral parts of understanding, becoming aware of your trauma. If you think of yourself right now in the present, and you think about how you think of yourself, how you think of others, what is your outlook on the world and the human race? How do you feel about your own level of success, your own level of self-worth, your own level of self-love? How do you show up in life? How do you treat other people? And when I say how do you treat other people, let's get down to the freaking roots here. Not only how you treat the person that you're in a relationship with intimately, not only how you treat your parents and your siblings and your friends that you grew up with, not only how you treat your coworkers, but how do you treat the mailman? How do you treat the server when you go out to eat? How do you treat a clerk in a store when you're shopping? How do you treat strangers? How do you treat a homeless person if a homeless person walks up to you and asks you for money? Okay, all of those are connections, human connections, and they all matter. How do you show up in life with your connections? And how do you show up in your job that you have to go to every day? When you get ready and go to work, are you excited to go to work? Are you only working to pay the bills? Are you passionate about the work you're doing every day? Do you sit at your desk and dread the next 8 hours? Are you counting down the minutes for lunch or to go home? Do you find yourself lollygagging around at work? Do you find yourself online doing things that are not work related? Do you have a good work ethic? What about in your relationships? Do you place blame? Do you feel like me first, me first? Are you the giver or the taker, or is there an equal balance of give and take in your relationships? What is your relationship with your children? Whether you're a parent of young babies and young children, are you constantly saying no, 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 and getting frustrated with them and standing up and talking down to them? Or do you kneel down and get to their level and calmly explain to them why they shouldn't be doing that? Or that this is an adult thing and you're a child, and when you're an adult, you can do that? Do you ridicule them or do you praise them? Do you criticize them or do you love on them and nurture them? These are all things that produce trauma and that show you that you are carrying past trauma. It's your behaviors and your patterns and your cycles are trauma. I'm not saying that you can't be a good person and show up well in life if you carry trauma, because I'm the first to admit I carry trauma. I've been healing through it my whole life, but more vastly and importantly in the last 3 years, I've really been healing through it. And it's not a race. There is no instant gratification. There is no, oh, I'm going to take this course on healing trauma and it'll be a 3-month course and I'm good to go. Healing through trauma is a lifetime. It's a lifestyle. So just know that you will always be working through your trauma and healing, and it's a work in progress, and you're making steps and you're celebrating along the way, and it's amazing, and you will free yourself and be liberated through the journey and enlightened as well. It's a beautiful thing to heal through trauma, and it's a beautiful thing to know that you can, and that your psyche and your thoughts and your emotions and the way you show up can absolutely be reprogrammed. I should say deprogrammed and reprogrammed, because the process of healing through trauma is first the understanding that you even have it, then acknowledging that you have it, accepting it, and knowing that you can cure it and you can work through it and heal. And then the process of healing, there are many steps to take there, but it can be done. And then the sharing of that journey is really, really important. I know there are a lot of people that don't want others to know about their journey and don't want people to know what happened and what their trauma is, and that's okay. But just know that at some point, a huge part of healing through trauma is sharing it and going and finding other people that need to hear your story. And that's my story personally. I started my life with trauma. At age 2, I was sexually abused by my grandfather until I was 7 years old, and then he was diagnosed with cancer, and then he died when I was 9. Those few years from 2 to 7 being sexually, ancestrally abused by my grandfather completely, 100%, absolutely affected every single solitary, intimate relationship I have ever had in my entire life, including the one I'm in now, but not to the extent. I've learned a lot of lessons over the years, but trauma is also a cycle. So before you all go running to your mom and dad and blaming them for your trauma, don't do that. Just know that you can break the cycle. And how cool is it to know that you can break cycles so that it doesn't pass down to your children and their children and all the generational lines after you. So I love talking about this because I am a survivor of many traumas. I am 50 years young and I'm happy. I'm genuinely at peace with myself. I've learned to fall in love with myself so that I can properly and effectively and wholeheartedly love other people. And that's important. I have learned how to handle my emotions and control certain emotions. And that is an absolute work in progress. And I have also learned observances in patterns that have repeated for me and what I need to do differently. And I am here to tell you that it took me years. In fact, being honest, until this last most recent relationship that I've been in, that's now been 3 years. Okay, so I was 47 years old when I finally started to grasp and really learn the patterns of the people, the men that I have been attracting into my life. And so many people want to blame the man or the men or the woman or the other person or other people for why something didn't work out, why they're miserable, why they're sad, why they're heartbroken. But the truth of that is, it's all lessons for you. You are attracting in exactly what you are not learning and what you think of yourself. It all goes back to the law of attraction. And so trauma is a big deal. It's the biggest deal of the human race, in my opinion. Trauma is what results in the mass shootings, the mental illness, the addictions, the lack of love, the overwhelming sense of hatred and divide. It all stems from trauma. And the sooner that we lock arms and lock hands and become aware and get educated and create a process and do the work, the inner work, the deep dive, the digging, the peeling back the layers, then the sooner there will be a little bit more peace within people, in groups, and relationships, but more importantly, peace within yourself. We all strive for inner peace. We all deserve it. We all are capable of having it. We are all capable of having massive abundance and prosperity in our lives. We're all capable of love because we are love and we are made of love. We are all made of love. And that may sound like a bunch of malarkey to some of you, but it's true. So whether you were born in a volatile relationship, or God forbid, a rape situation, or even people that have been adopted, that's trauma right there, by the way. If you were adopted, and even if you were adopted by two loving parents and you were raised in an extremely loving and supportive home, the truth is you carry childhood trauma for the sole reason that the emotion around being given up for adoption in itself is traumatic. It's emotional. And whether you acknowledge it or process it is a different story, but it is a fact that that's trauma. And that trauma will just spin and spin and spin into other things. And it produces a certain characteristic and belief in the way you go about life and the way that you show up as you grow into adulthood. So my job and my purpose and my passion, my extreme passion, my main goal in life is to shed light on trauma, how it affects your life going forward, how it can be healed, how to heal it, how to acknowledge it, how to share it, and how to move yourself into that release and liberation and peace and enlightenment and live from a true, authentic place of love and happiness and understanding. And that is what life is all about. So yeah, trauma's big. And I just want anyone that is watching this to understand that whether you've had an extreme, like typical trauma, and I hate to use that word, but typical trauma like abuse. I've been abused. I was sexually abused, like I said, from age 2 to 7 by a relative, by my grandfather, who I loved to death. And then as a teenager, I was physically and emotionally abused. I was in a domestic abusive relationship, marriage, and produced a son out of that stress. A son who I love and adore with every bit of my being. And then I experienced a trauma of the death of his father. So although he wasn't a man that I had a whole lot of respect for, I did love him. And I had a ton of love for him because that's who I am. And that his death was extremely traumatic, extremely traumatic. It took me a very long time from the time he died on September 1st of 95 to the present to deal with that and process it and move through it and heal from it. It still makes me emotional. So the healing never stops. But if I don't share with all of you the facts on trauma and how to have faith in the fact that you can heal through it, then I'm doing myself a disservice as well as all of you, because I know what my calling is. I have found my calling. My whole life, I knew on this side of my brain that you're supposed to help people. Helping people is your purpose. It's what I've always loved to do. It started with a love of babies and children. And it all makes sense to me now. It's like the coolest puzzle when you realize what your purpose is. And then you think back and you realize that there were these signs along the way that were telling you, girl, this is what your purpose is. Or dude, this is what your purpose is. I've had signs all the time and I didn't know they were signs and I didn't know how to acknowledge them. And I do now. And it's the most grand, beautiful thing in life. So at 50 years young, hell no, I am not giving up on doing my life's work. In fact, the most abundant, prosperous, wonderful parts of my life are beginning and have begun right now. So I don't dread being 50 and older. I embrace it. I love it. I'm excited. I'm eager and I'm passionate about it. I feel like I'm 28. I don't think I look anywhere near I'm 50, but I am. That's the fact. But my work is just beginning. And all the years prior to me being 50 have given me lessons and experiences to show me, prepare me, and inform me of my calling, of what I'm supposed to be doing. So take this with you as well from this video. No matter the time that it takes to get to the place to live your purpose, it was worth every experience, every emotion, and every lesson. And on that note, I will talk more about trauma. I'm a trauma and healing coach. So if anyone wants to work with me one-on-one or in group coaching, it's mostly going to be group coaching that I do in different modules and things like that. But I do have one-on-one coaching available as well still right now as I'm rebranding. But I am a trauma and healing coach, and I come from a place of firsthand experience. So that to me is priceless. And I am very good at knowing my gifts and knowing what I'm good at and what I'm not. And I don't claim to practice healing or working with someone in areas that I don't know about or don't feel comfortable pursuing with them. That is where I would push someone off, not push someone off, but direct someone to a professional. Okay. So not that I'm not professional, but y'all know what I mean. I've been to counselors that I feel like can't relate to me because they haven't been through what I've been through. So I know what I've been through. I know what my gifts are. I'm very good at connecting with people, inspiring people, shedding light, being of support and love, and nurturing people and directing people and coaching them into a place of healing and peace. And that's my goal. So hopefully something in this video resonated with you. Maybe you can do a little digging of your own to kind of figure out, wow, what am I carrying around? And how is it resulting in how I show up in the world? And is there something I want to do about that? And I hope that you will, because it can be healed and you can live a much more fruitful and abundant life. And more importantly, and most importantly, you can then attract in much more abundance in your life, much more love, much more success, and most importantly, inner peace. And that's the ultimate goal, in my opinion, for a good life and living well. So I wish you all a great evening or morning, afternoon, whatever the hell it is when you're watching this. Know that I love you. Know that you matter so, so much. And I really appreciate you coming to my channel and watching this video. Share it with anyone that you think might need to see it. And until next time, peace out.